This is a public service announcement. I love androgynous clothing. Hey friends! So I thought I'd let you in on a little secret that I may have mentioned a few times, and you will hear me mention again because apparently it's very prevalent in my life, and that my very worst phobia is people throwing up. Yes. And guess who has had so many instances of people throwing up right next to me in the weirdest way possible? Yeah, so apparently, I mean, I didn't know this until I was older, but this is called emetophobia, and it has to do with just any type of, oh yeah, if you're bothered by that, you probably shouldn't watch this, because I'm gonna talk about times where I have been triggered immensely, and the psychology version of triggered, as in, I freaked the f*** out. So, I do not appreciate universe being a magnet for this, but it just happened. I happen to have digestive issues also as one of my main things that caused me to frequently have to force myself not to vomit. Thanks life. I hope you enjoy this and you can laugh at my pain because I can somewhat laugh at it, but on the inside I'm still terrified. Thank goodness my mom studied psychology, because otherwise my parents would have thought I was insane. I don't really remember some of the first instances that this has happened, but I guess it kind of started when I was younger and I used to freak out every time I'd throw up, which was a lot, okay? I don't know how, sorry, there's a dog barking. Stop! That actually worked. Anyways, I was saying, I used to throw up a lot because I had severe asthma where I'd literally just stop breathing. And I was allergic for a while to my asthma medication where every single night after I took it during the day, I'd wake up and throw up, which couldn't have been healthy for a kid, but it happened. It happened. As the years went on, it started to get worse and worse, and by the time I was in elementary school, I was just like terrified of other people throwing up. And I don't know if you remember this, but so many kids just puke in elementary school. So many of them, it's like the place to go if you want to be exposed to that. I don't know why the kids in my class would always throw up, but it was always in my class. And then the times it wasn't, I would somehow have to go into that class and freak out. But anyways, I'm gonna tell you very specific stories that I think are kind of hilarious because I freaked out and I'm sadistic. There's this one time we went to science camp, I think in 5th grade. That was like our science camp, so I don't know if everyone does this, but in California, we travel into the mountains and camp for a week-ish, like 5 days or less. My mom was one of the parent volunteers because somehow she managed to make her way there, and if she wasn't, I think I would have lost my mind. Of course, kids started throwing up there. That's just what happens at camp and high altitudes, and I was terrified of it the whole time, and I almost avoided it until I just happened to see someone a few feet behind me throw up right before we were getting on the bus to go home. And then, as we got on the bus, some kids behind us were like talking and joking the whole time about if he throws up again, it's gonna fly back into the bus, which caused me to have a panic attack and to try not to throw up the entire bus ride home, which was like hours of driving, which also makes people throw up. That was... It broke me. Okay, well, let's move on to the next story. Then when I was 12 years old, by the way, I'm not mentioning all of them because I swear to God, at least like a couple times a year, throughout my years of schooling, someone has thrown up around me. Like, no. When I was 12, I got food poisoning that triggered so many other viruses in my body that I have never been the same since. But before that happened, my mom got it. And she's normally the one to help me through things. So she basically, it was really bad food poisoning that both of us got because we shared the same chicken sandwich in Yosemite, and for some reason, if you've ever been to Yosemite and gotten food poisoning, you're not the only person. I've literally talked to so many people that for whatever reason have gotten food poisoning there. So interesting, but it happened. We had just gotten home from that trip like the day before or something, and sometimes it can take a few days to show up, which is terrifying, by the way, for someone like me. But I knew that my mom was sick, and I was trying to be chill about it, and I was doing so well, like calming myself down and going to bed. But then I woke up in the middle of the night and I did not feel well. I didn't know I didn't feel well because I just thought I was having a panic attack. And so my dad was already up helping my mom because she was literally passing out. It was that bad. He came out to see why I was freaking out in the hallway, and I wanted him to wash his hands and like cleanse himself first before coming anywhere near me. And I like at this point wasn't myself. There was nothing rational going on. I don't even remember doing this. I was on autopilot. I start screaming at him. Like, I don't do this. Like, I don't scream. I don't know how to scream anymore, by the way. This was not me. I was like, get away from me. Don't touch me. Like, all this stuff in the middle of the night in the hallway. And the best part about this story is that my brother, he can sleep through thunderstorms. He didn't wake up even though I was screaming outside of his door. That I envy you, Blake. We end up going downstairs because my mom went to sleep finally, and my dad's hanging out with me because he knows I'm probably going to get sick. And I'm just sitting on the couch trying to hold it in because I want to be in denial. So I literally have my mouth closed, like almost throw up and like make a gagging sound, and he turns around like as he's putting a DVD in and he's like, are you okay? I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I'm totally fine. Like nothing's wrong. And he's like, okay. So he turns the movie on and he sits down, and I do actually throw up in my mouth. Like I'm holding it in my mouth. Have to run to the bathroom to spit it out. Now, for the rest of the day, like, I think this is why I get so scared of it, is because like whenever I throw up, I don't throw up once. I just like keep going, and I have to literally control my body to hold it in once in order to stop. Otherwise, I'll just never stop. And like we've had to take me in urgent care or something to stop me from throwing up like cyclical. Yeah, I don't do that anymore because now I am the master at holding it in. Except for when it fully comes up into your mouth, you have to spit it. I'm terrified right now. Okay, basically, I thought that basically fixed me because after that, I got post-viral gastroparesis, which makes you throw up a lot too. But no, whenever someone throws up around me, I freak out. So at school, this kid just, you know, throws up on the ground. I'm the person who has to see it and be right near it, and then everyone else notices. Like, what I find terrifying is that something horrifying just happened and no one notices. And then I'm the one who has to point it out and I'm freaking out. So I have to first of all tell people like, sorry, I have an irrational phobia about this happening. And someone just threw up right next to you and you didn't fucking notice. Like, hello? I feel like I can't put myself in the shoes of someone else. For most things I can. This is probably the one thing I just cannot. Like, if someone vomits around you, you better notice it. Like, otherwise I think you need to practice noticing things. Like, there's sound, there's smell, there's very obvious sight. There should be like at least some empathy you feel when you like someone is sick. Like if you see someone and they look sick before they throw up, they look really sick. Like it's not just a little. But for some reason, I'm the only person who notices. There's this other time I was sitting with my friend in a restaurant, and this little girl runs by covering her mouth, and we're in this tiny 2-person booth. Like, it was really small. So good thing that we're both small people, because we're just like squished into this little booth. So this girl comes running down the hallway, stops right next to our table, not even like off-centered, literally right next to us, and throws up out from her hands right in front of my face. So I'm just like stuck in the booth because I can't get out, just staring at what just happened next to me. There's other times in middle school where someone threw up behind me in class, like 2 seats behind me, and no one noticed, and I had to raise my hand and tell the teacher, hey, that kid threw up on the ground. Okay, I mean, I could keep going. I think you get the point. I literally have so many examples. We were flying somewhere, and I've never seen anyone get motion sick. The kid in front of me, out of all places, just started throwing up the whole time we were trying to land. And that's when you can't get out of your seatbelt. I don't know what it is. If someone's placed a hex on me, I'm gonna find you. Life wants me to get exposure therapy, and it's working, I hope. Anyways, I probably have more stories, but I think that's enough for today. Let me know if you want to hear other stories like this, and please comment down below if you have a similar fear, or if your phobia happens to be forced upon you quite often, like multiple times a year. I hope you have a great day. I'm gonna try to not think about this anymore. Bye! Are you kidding me? I've never picked this up and it just... Oh my god, that was too painful to even put in a video. There's just like a broken tourmaline on the ground and it's making me so sad. Oh no. Okay.